I am delighted to be joined by the champion of Taskmaster Series 19. Welcome back to the Taskmaster podcast, Matt Bainton.
Thanks, Ed.
This is so exciting. You're the champ.
I can't believe it.
You can believe it.
Can you believe it?
No, look at this. This is what you always wanted. I can see it in your eyes. You can believe it. You visualised this. You had it on a mood board.
I didn't think I would win remotely. Because I came in like competitive.
Yeah.
I wanted to do well in every task, but after the very first one, I was like, oh, turns out I'm going to be bad. This is chaos.
But when you got in the studio, like you say, last time you were on the podcast, you were saying that after you film the tasks, you're like, I've done really badly. You get in the studio, you start to see what other people have done. You start to see who they are as Taskmaster contestants.
At that point, you do start to think, oh, maybe. The way I would put it is, I don't know that I won Series 19. I think maybe 4 people lost it.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people screwing themselves over.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think even there's individual tasks where you can sort of see that happening. They just sort of tumbled like dominoes. But I did too. I mean, I genuinely, when I won the first 3 on the trot, I just became paranoid that was really deeply unlikable.
That is always a worry.
And
it wasn't. I'm happy to relieve you of that worry.
That's very kind of you to say.
There is also the worry, I think, because I didn't have that. I didn't win the first one. I think I might have won the second one, but it was way more spread out across the series that I did. But was there a worry in your mind as well when you won the first 3? What if all the tasks I've done well in have all been put in the first 3 episodes?
Maybe, but I was more worried about just looking like a smug prick. And so, if anything, I was sort of like hoping. I just thought, I can't be winning another episode.
But I think you never won them in a way that I was like, he's gone into that knowing he's going to win. There was never that. And in fact, I think certainly from that first episode, I think within the studio audience, you engender quite a protective feeling from them. Like when you're doing something badly, you're clearly quite downhearted about the whole thing. So there's quite a lot of, no.
I mean, I think, it's clear. It's probably clear I'm a sort of needy, broken person. I made such a tit of myself that I think that maybe kind of protects against any sense of like,
I think so.
This guy's in it to win it.
You went all out with sort of no forethought as to how. I mean, I was going to say dignity, but we do need to talk.
Yeah.
We do need to talk about that. That particular task, because obviously we didn't get a chance to the first time we spoke. So we spoke about episode 2. So let's first of all speak about
It's funny how your high points can also be your low points.
Oh, well, certainly
That's
for everyone else,
say.
your high points are very much your low points, I'd imagine, in your life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the wardrobe malfunctions first.
Why not?
So the short shorts, we talked about them briefly, but they'd yet to show us the full goods last time we spoke.
Yeah, they'd yet to spill the beans.
But the beans were spilled.
The beans were spilled.
Did you have a sense of when that was happening? That was happening?
Not at all.
So was it only when you saw it back in the studio?
That's my reaction live in the studio. I mean, they don't play the in the moment reactions like I think they used to in previous series. But yeah, you'd have seen me put my hands to my face and go, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
And then you're scanning through going, are there any other tasks coming up where that might have happened again?
That didn't even occur to me. Because I just thought it was probably particular to, well, okay, here's the thought process.
Yeah.
My first thoughts were, but I wear sort of trunk style boxers.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that I was wearing that kind of boxer that day. The next thought is, oh, actually, now I think about it, I do remember noticing that my boxers were sometimes protruding under because the shorts are so short, my boxers were sometimes longer
than the shorts.
And I was like, oh, that's a shame. So I think there was one day where I'd had the forethought to wear different underwear.
And less reliable.
That were more liable to, to potential spillage.
Yeah.
So
were you always wearing underwear? You weren't ever relying on the netting, internal netting of shorts? God,
no.
No.
And I mean, how far do I want to dig a hole for myself?
I think the hole's dug, mate.
I have a relatively loose scrotum. So I would be well aware of the potential. If they're not, this is why I wear trunks.
Yeah.
You need them held.
Yeah.
You need to feel held.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I recommend.
I thought they'd stitched me up. I thought it was that. Here I am on all fours. Yeah. Good. Good one.
So you're on all fours.
I'm on all fours, and I thought, okay, what they've done is the angle looks like that could have happened, so they've pixelated a bit.
They pixelated nothing essentially, and then made it look like that.
Yeah, so it looks like something's happened, because there is in those shorts there is a layer of like yellow fabric that's not usually completely visible, and I thought it was maybe a glimmer of that yellow that pixelated gives the impression of
flesh,
ball flesh. So I'm sat there, I'm trying to figure this out. Have they faked this, or have they actually? Well, I mean, Andy uses the word "we looked after you." Like, that's the phrase you saw him say that to me just now.
Yeah, because there is already, you arrived and we were talking about this a little bit outside the caravan, and Andy's claiming that they were looking after you, and you still have a conspiracy theory that it didn't happen, right?
I would argue that looking after me would be not to use that shot.
I would agree with you. But they also need to look after the show.
Yeah.
And for the show, that's good stuff, man.
People seem to find it funny. You can't argue with the laughs in the room.
It's obviously funny. I know it's your balls, so it makes it a different experience for you, but it's obviously funny.
So here's the thing, and this is where other people will get cynical. If you would say that I'm cynical when I say they might have invented this and pixelated them, when I tell you this, people will no doubt then go, "Oh, he's done this deliberately." My second Edinburgh show involved a dance routine that I did in a child-sized leotard, where halfway through it was like me sort of doing ballet. Yeah. And halfway through, one ball pops out of the side of the leotard, and I continued to do the ballet. And the whole joke was really just that I think I'm doing something really beautiful and moving to a beautiful piece of music, and the audience should be moved, if anything, to tears. Yeah. And they're all laughing, and I can't understand why. Yeah. And then just as I'm walking off, I spot it.
Great.
And
it was your real ball.
It was my real ball. There was a sort of a move. There was like a kind of tumble in the middle of the routine where my upstage hand was able to release the chosen testicle, and not look like I'd done that. So that would suggest to me that you're a man who's very in control of his balls, and you can feel when one's out. But you didn't feel it. I didn't feel a thing. Yeah. Had it been an outdoor moment, maybe there'd have been a breeze. I'd have been like, hello. Yeah. Or maybe if we'd been in the underbelly. Yeah. And I'd have been sort of used to that as an atmosphere, I'd have been like, oh, that's familiar. But
so you're still not sure.
So what I'd say is, like, I have exposed a ball in the past in order to make people laugh. Yeah. Which is why I'm not sort of devastated. Yeah. But I didn't. But it's different, though, isn't it? I didn't expect it to happen here. This is why we really didn't. This is why we work in comedy. We want to
we don't mind people laughing at us if we're in control of that.
Right.
If it's they're laughing at us and we don't know why, or we've not been part of that, then that's the worst thing in the world.
It does hurt.
Yeah, it does hurt. Yeah,
it can start to feel.
But I think you've created, I'm thinking, top 5 lasting Taskmaster moments with the balls.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm thinking Mike Wozniak farting a pile out was definitely.
It's nice to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
I have to say, because it puts a few things in perspective.
Yeah.
Because that's a man trying to fart.
Yeah.
I've at least got the sort of defence of, this is just accident.
Yeah.
This is just. It's a chance angle.
Yeah.
And it's a particular position I'm in. And, a momentary glimpse.
Yeah.
And it's,
I would also say you're in the top 5 twice, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the dignity task.
Yeah.
Which.
That's arguably worse.
I mean, it might be top. It might be top for me. In terms of images that I think of when I think of Taskmaster, it's seared onto my retinas, I'd say.
And one thing I'll say about it is I almost feel it's worse because they didn't show the sort of thought process. And often in these kind of creative tasks, what they do is they show in the VT, you open the task and you go, do the least dignified thing.
Yeah.
And then they'll show you sat there going, well, what is dignity?
Yeah, what could I do?
What would be the least dignified? So, and it's yogurt. So I guess if I was eating it, and I sat there and talked myself into this whole thing, and I was writing it down as I said it.
But there was an escalation as
there
you
was
were
an
coming
escalation.
up.
I was like, it would be undignified if I was like eating it off your shoe.
Yeah. See, even
how can it be more undignified? I could be in my pants. How could it be even more undignified? I could be crying. And then I could say something like, I'm sorry, Daddy.
But why do you think that would have helped seeing the thought process? Because when you describe the thought process to me there, that seems too quick to arrive there.
Well, you know what improv is like, Ed.
But you've not.
In a way, it's.
That's not a thought process. What you've done, you've just said the thing straight away.
But that's where the gold is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's when you don't
look.
When you don't filter. When you just see where your brain.
Yeah.
Where your brain goes, and mine went a place I don't thank it for.
It's almost like, and look, there's a lot of Taskmaster fans out there, and a lot of very specific Taskmaster fans and fans of British comedy. It was like you were acting out some weird internet fan fiction.
I mean, it's all, yeah.
They don't need to write that one anymore. They've got a video of it.
Yeah. But that's what I would say psychologically is going on. And I would say, actually, it was the same when I was tasked with do the coolest thing. My brain just manifests the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
So, like, all I'm thinking is what would be humiliatingly uncool. Avoid that. But it's like in Ghostbusters where they try not to think of anything, and one of them thinks of the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy.
Yeah. But you're
I'm thinking like, don't think of uncool things, and I've immediately, in having that thought, I've thought, sing a folk song to kids, and then
that was great.
And then you're sat there doing it, and you're thinking, what the fuck have I done?
But in terms of the dignity thing, that is your Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is just eating yogurt off Alex's shoe.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
Mine happens to be licking yogurt off Alex's shoe.
In your pants.
I mean, there was a lot of discussion of this in the studio that didn't make the edit for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It does evoke adult themes.
Evoke? I mean, it is an adult theme.
No, it's yogurt. I spilt the
yogurt is not the thing that people are going to remember.
I spilt some yogurt, and we're in some sort of cult.
Sure.
I think
this is the backstory.
Because there's an audience there.
Yeah.
And
the audience has made it so much worse.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing on the list. I was like, it would be, to really lose your dignity, it has to be in front of people.
Of course. Well, it's the shame.
Alex
it's the shame
out,
walk from Game of Thrones, isn't it?
This is the funny thing, is that when I said that, this is just recurred to me just now. It's the first time I've remembered it since. I sat there and I said, there should be an audience because it's not undignified unless people see it.
Yeah.
And Alex said, it is televised. Looking back, that's when I should have thought, just pump the brakes a second.
Yeah, but you can't, once you've said it out loud to the team here.
Well, that was it.
That was it. You can't pump the brakes then. Because then it'll be, no, I think you should.
I'd love to say that they coerced me even slightly into delivering on what I'd written down. I do remember Andy saying, can we get a shot of that?
Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose felt like, in a way, like a contract.
Mm.
But I didn't think to pump the brakes, is the honest truth.
No, and I'm glad you didn't.
And all you're thinking, and all I was thinking was like, some of them will have chosen least.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a competitive. I was like, I'm glad I've chosen least.
Yeah.
Because most dignified would be hard to outdo anyone
True,
with.
very true.
Because all you can really do is some sort of stillness and grace.
Yeah.
Some version of, and they did some really creative things, like Rosie putting other people in there to be less dignified than her, making elevate. You know, great stuff.
Yeah.
But I was sure I wouldn't be the only one who chosen least, and I thought you've got to go hard because that's going to be. Imagine the sort of depraved shit that people will do. So that's your first sort of nightmare scenario, is watching that VT and going, they all chose highest.
But I can't believe that's... For me, the go-to is least. Straight away.
Well, you don't know what the rest of the task is.
No, but in terms
you had to choose it first.
Yeah, but in terms of... Yeah, I know, I see what you mean. Yeah, sorry.
I chose least because I probably just have enormously low self-esteem. So whatever's in the task, I'm going to be at home with least.
Yeah.
That's going to be my comfort zone.
Well, it turns out it was.
Well, I wouldn't say comfort.
Not a comfort zone, no.
No one's comfortable. No one is comfortable. Alex is not comfortable.
No.
The audience at home aren't comfortable.
I'm interested to know when you'd finished filming that, when they were like, yeah, we got that. What was the vibe like amongst the crew and in the house?
You think I hung around to find out?
Was that straight in the car?
I don't know if it was straight in the car, but it was. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what I'll tell you what it was. It's me and Chrissy sort of with about 100 wet wipes, wiping off the word twit and one tit. I think it was one tit.
Yeah.
We didn't think we could do twat.
No, you don't want it to go too far, do you?
No, I think that was just a, Channel 4 thing.
Yeah, you got,
because they can bleep what you say, but they can't bleep.
Of course, yeah.
Actually, they can. They can pixelate.
You've got to draw a line under things.
We know they can pixelate.
Yeah,
we know they've got that tech. Should have gone twat. I'd have got 6 points.
You should have got 6 points for it. Look, people will be talking about it.
But the extraordinary thing is that all I was thinking was do the task, and only really kind of towards the end of it did I think this is going on telly.
Yeah. I mean, I was so proud of you. I thought it was outstanding.
Well, thank you.
You're playing the game. It was absolutely brilliant. We should talk about this final episode because I could do a whole episode on that task. But the prize task is the thing most likely to make you do a double take. Lovely final category. Yours, I thought was
absolute miscarriage of justice.
I completely. You know what? Right. And this is what I've written down. I think it was a miscarriage of justice. I think it was a perfect Taskmaster prize submission. You can say it with 3 words. Boots in a bin. See the picture.
There's 4. But
bang. Done. Boots in bin.
Boots in bin. You're right.
I've written 3 words as well. It's amazing. I didn't count her.
Yeah.
I think just boots in the bin. Just so easy to say. It immediately evokes what you want it to. The picture's brilliant. Bang. I'm thinking 4 minimum for that.
But crucially, it's a double take.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it once,
you
look away, and then you go, hang on, is there a body in there?
Yeah.
And you look back.
Yeah.
That's a double take.
It's perfect.
And I put an enormous amount of thought into this. And so yeah, it hurts when I think we've talked about some low points in terms of dignity, but actually when I felt lowest was when I felt like I deserved.
Yeah.
And because I'd sort of I'd like blazed an early trail,
Mm-hmm.
and I was out in front, I really felt like I was in a place where I couldn't sort of argue about points.
Yeah,
From
I think
that
you're
point
right. I think you're
onwards,
right to rely
it was
on that.
like, it's not going to be.
Yeah.
You know, there was another prize task where I felt like, man, I should have got more for that. But I just remember sitting there and think, oh, that was it. Borrowed from a friend. I won't argue that I should have got 5.
Yeah.
But Fatia got 5 for something that was given to her
Yes.
by someone she didn't know. And I really wanted to say,
Yeah.
sorry, is the category best thing given to you by someone you don't know?
But I think you're right to think, you are right to make that assumption that if you started doing that when you're that far ahead, you look awful.
Awful.
I would have argued it. And that's how I got the reputation I did.
Right. But it's nice to have this forum,
Yes.
you know, to bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I would say, like, there were some strong submissions here, but they weren't double takes.
Fatia did get less than you. Fatia got the 1 point, as is her tradition in the prize tasks.
Yeah, I mean, a beard, that's what...
Geezers with beards.
Mad.
So, I didn't...
Jason's is something you go and take a closer look at. You go, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And you go and look at it.
Most Meals with Dad, 1992 to 1993.
And
it's
Rosie's is something you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's not a double take.
No, because you're not looking away from that, are you?
No,
you're holding the first look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really felt, you know...
Stevie's is more of a surprise than a double take, the fake arm.
I think it deserved the 5, actually.
Anything you bring into the studio and there's like a trick element to it is great.
And it would be... I think that's a double take, potentially.
Yeah.
If you happen to have looked away from... Yeah. I think that is a double take. What the fuck? She's got...
Yeah.
And I really... I applaud that. So I'm not saying I should have got the 5, but 4.
Yes, I think 4.
It's fun to play this out because I hate myself hearing it. So I'm glad...
But no, I agree with you that yours is the most traditional double take. That's the cartoonish double take, isn't it? What was Fatia's point? What was Fatia's point with hers? So it was.
If you can figure that out,
it seemed to be. She sees a man with a beard, and she's like, "Oh, great! I love a man with a beard." Then she looks away, and then she has to look back to double check that he's Muslim.
Something like that.
But then, for some reason, she said, "Have you ever seen a?"
It was something about cats.
A cat.
As well.
You farted in front of a cat.
Yeah.
And the face they make. That's the face she makes when she sees someone with a beard, but she has to check to see if he's Muslim.
That was hard to. Yeah. Those were 2 things that were quite hard to connect.
But she says it with such confidence as well. There's never any. She's not stumbling over any words. She's just like, "This is what I meant," and I'm not going to explain it any further.
Oh, I think she'd prepared it.
Yeah. Well, the absolute brutal topper to the whole thing was Jason saying backstage, "You said this was your best one."
It probably was.
Yeah. No, it might well have been.
I mean, points-wise, of course, she got the thing that was given to her by a stranger.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're never going to shake that off. Rosie's period costume, you'll be happy to hear that was from a show she did.
Yeah.
Rather than...
She did say that in the studio.
It was cut out the edit, I think.
They cut it out?
So I just want to let our listener know she didn't have it made for Taskmaster. That was for her live podcast show with Chris.
Yeah.
But it is...
It's an extraordinary thing. Don't get me wrong.
It's proper incredible. But yeah, no double take there. That is a single take for a long time.
A single astonished, open-mouthed stare, I would say.
And I do love Most Meals with Dad award.
Yeah,
but you just...
Great item.
It throws up questions and you're looking at it. You're going closer to it. You're then asking, why does this exist? It's not a double take. And Stevie's very, very good to have the discipline to sit there for that long. Because sometimes these chats take ages, right?
Sorry, but I know we were talking about Stevie, but I was just remembering that the audience audibly reacted when I only got 2 points. Didn't they?
Yeah, I mean...
There was like a, ooh.
It seemed harsh. But also, Greg knows at this point. Well, how far ahead are you at this point?
He's trying to make it a competition.
You're going into this episode pretty much knowing you're going to win, surely.
I think it was doable. I think there was single figures between me and second, I think, at the end of the penultimate episode.
Right, okay.
So I wasn't sure.
I mean, you're 15 points ahead by the end. And Stevie has a very good episode, final episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
But look, it's...
You know, it is... It's fine, isn't it?
It was 1 point for Fatia, 2 points for you.
Yeah.
3 points for Jason,
Ooh.
4 points for Rosie, and 5 points for Stevie's fake arm. Task 1, completely fill the yellow box with sand. Once you've touched a box, you must hold the box for the rest of the task. Fastest wins. Your time starts now. A nightmare. A nightmare task to watch. I just found it, imagining myself doing it and how frustrated I'd get.
Yeah.
Because you've got to think ahead, which you and Jason did very, very well.
Do you know what? I just think I got lucky to a fair old extent with this one. I think sometimes you happen to go one way. Like when I realised there would be sand somewhere else, I immediately went towards the end of the garden. If I'd come round into the house or into the caravan, I'd have been in the same disaster the others were in.
Yeah.
But you know, this is the guy who didn't look at the numbers on the cookie that he ate maybe 10 of. So, like sometimes I got lucky, sometimes I didn't.
Yeah, it is very much if you turned left, you were fine, and if you went anywhere else, you were completely screwed over. But I also think it's the instinct to know that it's not all going to stay in there. It's not going to be one of those 3 boxes.
Yes, I thought it might be one of them, and that it would be a trick which one. Yeah. So I didn't go for the one that looked full, but then the half full one turned out to be a trick too.
Yes.
But it was happily sort of sleeve sized, so I could sort of just sling it on and get on with it.
Whereas Jason doesn't touch any of them. Jason straight away, he knows that that's all going to be a trick. He finds the pile, and
I'm surprised he didn't just throw the whole table over straight away.
Just smash everything up.
I think if it had been a later task, he would have.
Yeah, get on the roof, see if there's any sand up there.
Yeah,
but you still do it way quicker than Jason. You did it in 1 minute 25.
Yeah.
So he must have really just taken his time, just kicking stuff. And
I think, he was looking around under the table and stuff, and I felt like it was one that it would maybe be one of those ones that you can actually do in 10 seconds.
Yes.
And that they were trying to trick you into spending lots of time umming and ahhing. So, yeah.
But look, everyone else had a total nightmare.
Yeah.
Walking around with so many boxes, just box upon box upon box, trying to work out how to carry them, like wheeling them around places, putting them on tables.
It's so nice to see the sort of nightmare you've been spared.
Yeah.
When you see like there's what looks like a pile of sand in a sort of sandcastle, and actually it's
solid,
like a solid model.
Which
nightmare.
which Fatia does put in, and they do give it to her because it's technically made of sand.
Do they?
Yeah, I think sometimes you've got to admit that
there's some pity involved.
If you're having that much of a nightmare anyway, and you're only getting 1 or 2 points, you've got to give her that.
Yeah.
Do briefly want to touch on Rosie popping a box on her head.
Yeah.
Is it possible to put a box on your head and not look totally gormless?
I wouldn't say so.
No, because looking out from under anything is not the sort of most dignified of looks, I think.
I kind of think there's 2 types of people in the world, and one is people who would put things on their head.
Yeah.
Saucepans, colanders. Tea cosy.
Yeah.
And
you must be a pop on the head kind
I'm
of guy.
I'm a pop on the head guy for sure. I think life is...
You're a ball out
you're
in an
missing
Edinburgh
out
show guy.
if you're not.
Yeah,
exactly. Pop a thing on your head, guys. Come on.
Pop a thing on your head, for God's sake. Yes, a good task, but a very frustrating task to watch back if you hadn't turned left. I would say.
Yeah.
Rosie gets the 1 point, Fatia gets the 2 points, 3 points for Stevie, 4 points for Jason, and the big 5 for you.
Yeah.
Task 2, talking of hell. Freeze on your spot in the most powerful pose in 5 minutes from now. You must be touching 2 of the objects. Your time started when you acknowledged Alex. Part 2, stay completely still in your powerful pose for the next 10 minutes. Least movement wins. Your time starts now. This is
good.
This is torture.
Good God. Good. Good sweet Lord.
This, I hate to say it, but heard of Guantanamo Bay?
Well, the thing here is that you've got the option of not suffering, so they're sort of getting out on a technicality, which is like, well, you could throw the points.
Yeah.
If it hurts that much, then put the mallet down.
Sure. Well, if it hurts that much, give up the information about the terrorist cell. It works. It works both ways, right?
Was going to go on down a sidetrack about whether or not torture actually is an effective method for getting intelligence, because I do think the intelligence community is quite divided on that.
Yes, I'm sure.
And apparently Zero Dark 30 is really kind of guilty of some fictitious stuff.
As is Alex Horne.
But yeah, I created my own Guantanamo, if you will.
Yeah,
because I chose to try, despite the odds. And I thought I'd been quite clever with the pose, the sort of taking power as an idea rather than just something inherent in the way that you're standing.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but killing a puppy?
Yeah. It's emotional. This is the thing, it works on multiple levels. Mm-hmm. And when I say multiple, I mean 2.
Yeah.
1, I have the power of life and death over this creature.
Yes.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
2, it's emotionally powerful because I love the puppy.
Yes.
It's my puppy.
Yeah.
And it's suffering in front of me.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
What do you do? Yeah.
You look into its eyes and you're thinking, I don't want you to suffer, but can I kill you?
With a mallet.
With a mallet. With whatever is to hand, which in this case is a croquet mallet. So I felt like, good on me here.
Yeah.
5 points, here we go.
You'd really thought about it, and there was multiple layers.
And then the second layer really fucked me.
Yeah.
But then there's a sort of period in there where you're like, actually, if I can stay still, this is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And once you've done, I mean, how many minutes was it? 10.
10 minutes, yeah.
Once you've sort of done, and I said to Alex, don't tell me often.
Yeah.
He said, how often do you want me to tell you the time? And I was like, not often.
Also, that's such an annoying question. How often do you want me to tell you the time? Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I just want it to be over.
I thought, if you're giving me each minute, that's going to be too many reminders of how far I've still got to go.
Well, Fatia took the opposite technique of asking Alex every single 10 seconds how long there was left.
Even though all she was doing was standing still
there and then frequently changing her position, leaning against a pillar. Again, as soon as having seen Fatia's approach to the show throughout the whole series, as soon as this came
it's
up,
classic Fatia.
there was no way that Fatia was pulling this off.
It's the most her she is in any task.
Yeah.
Even the thing about the gravel.
Yeah, it's like a bit like Bear Grylls walking across some gravel. Like if you're annoyed at walking across the gravel, you're not going to hold a position for 10 minutes.
But it's brilliant because it's such a counterpoint. It makes such a fool of someone like me putting themselves through 10 minutes. Well, not just 10 minutes, because it genuinely hurt for days.
Yeah. Fatia is the logical one in most tasks.
Right.
Where she's like, well, I just won't do it.
And how many less points does she get than me? 1. One less
point.
One less. I physically tortured myself for 10 minutes and suffered for days to get 1 more point than Fatia.
Your issue is the hammer, I think, as well, right?
Absolutely.
Because it shows so much more movement.
There was a point where I just physically couldn't support it.
Yeah.
And it had to go against. And what bothered me about that as well was knowing that it looks like a capitulation and that it looks like, from that point, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
I still had the full weight of it It was bad.
Just as much pain.
The whole thing just doesn't look. The whole thing actually doesn't do justice to how painful it was.
But I can imagine.
I would say to anyone who's listening, who's thinking, "Come off it." Literally, even just hold your arms up.
Yeah.
Hold your arms level with your shoulders and start a timer.
Yeah.
And see how long you can hold it before it becomes excruciating.
I can't even sit down in the same position for longer than a minute. Stevie was also in agony.
Yes.
But crucially, I think accidentally chose a better position to remain still because she was sort of just basically trapped her legs underneath herself, which is painful.
Yeah, and that would have definitely been painful.
Yeah, but she didn't have to rely on.
Couldn't.
Yeah, she couldn't move.
Couldn't really falter.
Yes, I mean, Rosie, I think her technique is almost a Fatia style technique, but it works very well for her of choosing a position that isn't that taxing to start with. So saying she's from the 80s, she's a powerful businesswoman from the 80s with roller skates and just leaning up against a pillar. It sort of doesn't, you can't argue really that is a powerful position, but the whole thing in the end was
that's not what the
holding
points are being given for. And that's, that's the brilliance and evil of Alex.
Gutting to watch from your perspective, though, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but it's all fine, isn't it?
It's all fine in the end. It's all fine in the end.
Was this the episode where Greg accused me of being defensively going, yeah, it's fine?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, absolutely fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, don't say it like that. You sound defensive.
Interesting that the two men, when it's powerful positions, both grabbed a hammer and were about to kill something.
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it?
Because it doesn't surprise me that Jason does it, to be honest, because he's so destructive and clearly hates Alex's little foibles so much that he's acting out a fantasy.
But you're right, we've both internalized a sort of toxic idea of what power is based on sort of masculine violence.
You know, a lot of people are talking about adolescence as being the show that really puts all that out there for discussion, but I think it's episode 10 of Taskmaster.
I'd say it's a companion piece, at least. I think you should watch both and sort of, they complement each other very well.
And what a lot of people don't know about Taskmaster is it's all done in one shot. Beginning to end, the whole series.
Yeah. Well, this task certainly was.
Yes.
It felt like it went on for as long as an episode of Adolescence, put it that way.
I mean, I can't imagine how painful it was afterwards and trying to... Did you have to go for a sports massage after this?
I didn't have to. No, I just... Yeah, it hurt. It was the twist. I think I say it it was the twist of the spine more than that, actually. That I... Yeah. Oh, boo.
When you've been for massages in the past, do you wear the little paper pants they give you?
I tend to keep actor's own pants on.
Do you worry that...
Now I do.
Yeah.
That's a point.
Task 3, let's talk about the final pre-recorded task of this series. It's a team task. It's provide the best drive-through experience. Your first customer will arrive in 5 minutes from now. The next 5 customers will arrive every 2 minutes after that. They're expecting fast service, accurate pricing and great food. Your time starts now. This is now in a grand tradition of Taskmaster team tasks. We've had the hotel.
Sort of running a business.
Running a business.
Should have seen it coming.
And this is as chaotic as you'd hope it to be, really. Talk us through this one, please, Matt.
I mean, I think this is a good example of sometimes you sort of think you know yourself and sometimes you think you know how you're going to come across. And it's genuinely really surprising.
Yeah.
I sort of couldn't believe what I was watching. And Greg described it very well, saying there seemed to be a stoner on.
It blew my mind because we've come to know you through this series of Taskmasters.
Details guy.
You know, you do stuff pretty well. You're efficient. You start the task being like, right, let's maybe start making some stuff. You're taking photos of the menu. You're doing all of this. I was like, well, thank God Matt's there because the other two are all over the shop.
Yeah.
And the first opportunity you have to do anything, it's like you're hiding in the booth. You wouldn't look a customer in the face.
I was so fixated on the maths because I thought that's how Alex is going to be.
Well, accurate pricing, it does say.
Yeah, and so I was doing the maths on my phone.
Right.
I hadn't worked a till like that
Mm-hmm.
before, and actually, what it had like shortcut buttons which I didn't understand. So I was instantly flummoxed.
But it was how long you were taking as well. So your head down and Alex just going, hello? Like not even I'll be with you in a second, just staring at the numbers.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, like waiting for a moment is going to be fine.
Yeah.
If I then nail the price and give him the right change.
Yeah.
They're not going to quibble the fact that for a moment I was busy doing my job.
Yeah, sure.
I wasn't being rude. Well,
yeah,
I was.
You were, yeah.
I was.
And he's already
keep saying 1 moment, sir.
He's already had to deal with Fatia.
He has. I mean, actually, the thing here really is that we chose the wrong jobs.
I think so.
I think if I had my time over, I'd put myself in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Rosie taking the order and Fatia.
Rosie take the order, maybe Fatia on the till.
Yeah.
Or at least we should have said from the get-go, has anyone worked a till?
Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Although I would have been the one to go, yeah, I have. And then I'd have looked at it and gone, that doesn't help.
There's a moment in this as well where Rosie tries to radio Fatia and she says, I'm with a customer at the moment, can you shut up? I was like, I'm pretty sure I have heard that in... like that. That is just, it's like being in McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's so perfect.
But yeah, also to not have thought, let's start making stuff.
Yes.
That was really, I mean, I think all three of us should have thought that.
Well, the thing that really made me laugh, obviously, was the preparation was you running around trying to get stuff done and them arguing about what a pentagon was.
Yeah, it was.
And that summed it up, really.
Yeah.
Was this the final team task?
That's probably
of the
the
day?
point where I should have gone, I'll take the kitchen.
Yeah.
I know what a pentagon is.
Bare minimum qualification, yeah.
I know my shapes.
Was this the final team task of the day?
I can't remember. Yeah, I think it probably was, yeah.
So you knew each other by then? You knew the sort of how it worked,
Yeah.
how you fitted together as a team?
Yeah, true. But then it's only one day.
Yeah.
At that point, I was going to say I was still scared of Fatia. I still am. I'm not really.
No,
she's
it's
lovely. But yeah, I was at that point.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just such a joy to watch, though. Average wait time of 2 minutes 41.
I mean, it's extraordinary that we got any points.
And you trying to make Alex back up as well.
Yeah.
Can you back up round there?
Well, I thought that the
sending
food.
him round.
I thought that was that Alex had deliberately laid out the stations in the wrong order.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So it should be place your order, go to the till,
Yeah.
receive your order. But he deliberately put the kitchen in the middle.
It was confusing.
So that we would
open,
have to somehow maintain good customer service whilst also telling the customer that the kitchen is actually behind
As if you thought he needed to add another hurdle to the situation.
No, I mean,
when the
obviously
till
not.
was the main hurdle.
But yeah, I'd sort of, it hadn't occurred to me that the food could be delivered out the front door. So in the maths zone.
Well, let's talk about the other team, JV Marzukas. Just all seems to go quite smoothly.
Yeah, they nailed
doesn't it?
Yeah,
they absolutely nailed it. And with two of them, you would have thought harder to do all those jobs. But I think a lot of it, honestly, is Jason improvising these monologues about the business. It's just perfect.
Yeah, it's a really good tactic.
Yeah.
To sort of, to not be rude, but to buy yourself all that time.
Yeah. It makes you excited about the food.
Yeah.
It's talking about the history of the family, the family business.
I mean, my brief dalliance with customer service sort of work as a teenager, manning the kiosk in a theatre, taught me never to go near it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because I can't do that stuff.
No. You can't do the till even.
No. I mean, I look back, I go, oh wow, it's a wonder I lasted as long as I did in that job.
Whereas Jason, I think he should open a restaurant. I thought it was great. And Stevie seemed to do the cooking element pretty well as well. She got everything right. She was attentive. She wanted to do well. She was polite to everyone.
And also, I think just put something out there.
Yeah.
If it even vaguely relates to what's been ordered, it's going to be all right.
No one knows what a drizzle is, really. No. You know. And it's nonsense.
They're not eating this shit. They're not going to...
Well, then my favourite moment, I think, was Rosie really struggling to cut soldiers into the shape of soldiers. And you said, just give it a sense of limbs. Just make sure it has a sense of limbs.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Know.
Yeah. But it's that, I think there was too much detail given to, like, she was burning toast for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas all she needed to do really was just put it in twice or turn the thing up.
Yeah, and also, as was pointed out, do that early doors.
Yeah,
you know, get the toast on straight away.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it's been ordered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lesson for many people who work in hospitality there, I think. It was 5 points for Jason and Stevie and 3 points for you guys. So that felt generous.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a good example of sort of failing but somehow still getting points. Definitely.
Very, very generous. So entertaining though. Let's talk about the final live task. Get the most carrot in your bucket. You must hold your hands behind your back at all times. You have 100 seconds. Again, what a way to end this series.
Yeah.
In the way the series has gone throughout the whole thing, just in absolute abject chaos.
Yeah.
People biting chunks off the carrot, spitting it in. Jason just destroying the helmet, essentially, to get the carrot in.
Yeah. Me worrying about wardrobe malfunctions again. And again, the stupid thing there was, because the studio days are sort of consecutive, so it's a short space of time, and we'd had the wardrobe malfunction. It was clear that was going to be a bit of a moment.
Yeah.
And I thought, I should change what I was going to wear for the last episode. I should wear shorts. And then I didn't have any that weren't like sports shorts, and I thought it would be... I thought it'd be better if they sort of fit with a bit of a sense of dressing up.
Yes. Yeah. It's a nice outfit. Yeah.
So I just ordered some online.
Yeah.
And they were so sort of skinny. And they're a bit longer than they needed to be.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to roll them up. And they're
dangerous.
Bad. But I'd committed, and that was,
I think no one can argue that for this series of Taskmaster, you did not commit.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
You committed. It paid off. You won.
Yeah. At
what cost? We don't know yet.
Yeah, I think the rest of my life I'll be finding that out. It's such a strange position to be in, to sort of know the GIF before it even appears.
Did you know the GIF as it was happening? Were you imagining the GIF?
I mean, now there's multiple GIFs, aren't there?
Yeah.
Are we talking about the licking of the yogurt? Or are we talking about
licking the
balls?
yogurt's definitely a GIF. And there's definitely balls is a GIF. I think licking the yogurt's probably the stronger GIF.
What concerns me, Ed, is that a time will come
with your fingers on your lips is a GIF as well.
Oh Jesus! I mean,
we've not even talked about that.
Haven't even. That's the thing about low points. Is that often they're not, like I chose to lose my dignity. And my balls may have fallen out, but they pixelated them.
Sure.
That is low, actually.
Yeah.
But the dignity one we'll put down to choice. Yeah. But the stuff where you just are just trying your best, and then you just show yourself to be a stupid idiot. So the wetsuits is one for sure. Having my fingers on my lips the whole time, and thinking, oh no, I'm gonna not get any points because at one point I briefly took my finger off my lips.
Heartbreaking, and I completely understood that as well. I understood that my instinct as well.
That would be the bit they'll clip that up and they'll show it. They'll do all the thing, and then afterwards they'll go, but Greg, let me show you this. Matt took his finger off his lips for a moment. I'd be like, yeah, I knew that was gonna. So that's a low.
And then you're watching everyone else going, well, they don't have their fingers on their lips.
The other one is when I failed to put water in the bucket and got a clean sweep in that assault course where you had to do every single task, and most of them were going to tell you to throw the water away.
Yeah.
Every single one said carry on, and I had not put water in the bucket because I was so like, go, get the bucket, get into the assault course.
Yeah.
Keep going. I haven't got water in the bucket. That's sort of worse than...
Yeah, but that's not the GIF, is it?
But I digress. What I was going to say about the GIF is the thought that, and it's really possible, that a time will come where no one remembers me for my work. Like, TV's pretty ephemeral, you know. Shows, people aren't digging them out 20 years later.
Yeah.
But that GIF is still being used
by people who've got no idea what it relates to.
Yeah, they don't know who the guy is,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it's the licking yogurt off someone's shoe GIF. It's the GIF that you like, that's shorthand for you've really debased yourself.
Yeah, you've really fucked up here, yeah.
You know, that's possible.
So that's great.
And it's just sort of sitting with that, isn't it? It's just sort of going, can I fold that in to just, this is what it's been like for me to be a human on this planet. This is part of the experience for me of what it is to be a person.
The everlasting GIF.
Yeah, can I accept that?
I think you can.
I have to. I don't have a choice, do I?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you know it's happened. It's happened, and it will then happen. But it's how it sits with you day to day. I'd be delighted. I thought you absolutely smashed it.
Great. I mean, yeah. I think there's a version of my future where I am just sort of fine about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll really know.
It's difficult to say now as well, because we are recording this before the
it goes
episode's
out.
gone out.
Yeah.
So we don't know how it's gone down.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if it's just like actually just no one mentions it.
I'd say there's less than 0% chance of that happening.
Be mad though, wouldn't it?
It
if
would
we're
be
sort
mad.
of like having a whole conversation about, and people are like,
well, I think
it's just
remember that bit.
Yeah,
it was fine.
That was the least remarkable bit.
But your nuts fell out. See, even if one bit,
there's a GIF.
There's always a GIF.
There's a GIF either way.
There's always a GIF on the horizon. The live task, it was 1 point for Fatia, 2 points for Rosie, 3 points for you, 4 points for Stevie, and 5 points for Jason, meaning Stevie wins this final episode with 22 points, Jason in second, you in third, Rosie in fourth, and Fatia bottom of the table, sadly. But you are the champ, 169 points.
Unbelievable.
You've got to be happy with that.
Being the champ,
or
the points,
or both.
I don't really know where the points sort of stack up.
I don't actually. We'll do the stats, I'm sure, at some point.
I sort of don't feel like. I don't feel like they mean anything.
The points. Yeah. What if you were top? I mean, I don't think you are top, but
no, because there are so many that sort of. It would be. It's so genuinely subjective. To Greg's whims.
Yes.
And as we've discussed, sometimes he is objectively wrong. And I'd say that to his face.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say it to his face.
I think you would.
Stand
on a chair.
So they don't really mean it. But the main reason I'm delighted to be champion is because I get to come back and do another day.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Champions.
So because it is so much fun.
Yeah.
It's genuinely so much fun.
Yeah.
That there is a feeling when you're in the studio of like, oh no, this is coming to an end. So I'm glad I get to do more.
Yeah.
But as like in amongst champions, I'm not sure. I think we're going to find out really what I am. And just the extent to which I sort of I was dealt a lucky hand.
You were the top of a...
And no, I don't mean to insult anyone.
Yeah.
But they may choose to be insulted.
Yes, I think they'd agree.
I think, yeah.
I thought you were brilliant, Matt.
We sort of all had our moments.
Yeah.
But Jason was only concerned with destroying things. Fatio was not happy with any of the tasks. And I don't think Rosie and Stevie were particularly competitive.
No, I don't think so either.
And Stevie had some really brilliant... I mean, everyone had some really brilliant moments. Stevie did some really, like, clever things. And going into it, I thought, like, she'd probably be the competition.
Yeah.
If I got any points. But, yeah, she wasn't.
Listen, you're the champ. We will, of course, ask you to rate your experience on the podcast again between 1 and 5 points in the style of the Taskmaster. Obviously, last time you said there was some trauma association with being back at the house. Does that still hold true?
Well, if anything, it's more so now because although I'm conditioned in the environment, we've brought up a lot of troubling stuff.
Even worse stuff, haven't we?
We've brought up the low points.
Yeah, so is it another point
And
off?
we haven't even mentioned the cloak task, losing all 5 which was the one task I thought I've done well there. So because of the trauma, I'd say I'm gonna have to go lower than
last time
and say 3.
Okay,
but it has been a pleasure.
Look, it's lovely to see you. I'm glad you're the champion. I thought you were fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Can't wait to see what you do on Champion of Champions.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what will be gift out of that?
So many potential gifts. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
For more Taskmaster, subscribe now.